degree leader by our facilitator, Ms. Ogena, was when she was talking about feedback, and she told us that feedback help us to see the blind spots. It helped me as a leader to improve my behavior and strengthen my relationship. And one thing that hits me so hard there was she told us that as a leader, feedback is not an attack. So she spoke about different leadership styles, which we have the personal one, the visionary, and she also talked about identifying your strength. And she told us to write down our three key strength area to identify areas that we need to improve. And she taught us yesterday as well that weakness does not mean failure. Weakness are areas that we need to grow. And she listed some areas to improve, which is communication, confidence, time management, and also emotional awareness. And she told us that a 360 leader influences everyone around them. Not just that you're a leader, just you are telling because you are telling people to do something. But no, as a leader, if the influence begins with you and understanding yourself first before you can influence others, you have to understand who you are first as a leader. Then the influencing has start from you too. It spread like that to others. So that's what I learned yesterday. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much for your contribution. Yes. Yes. Thank you very much. Who's raising? Okay. Thank you very much for your contribution. Yes. Is there anybody else who would like to share what they learned yesterday and their experience yesterday? So, yes, does that mean there was only one person who was at yesterday? Please, I'm not Yoruba, so I don't want to mispronounce your name. Yes, who can tell me what they learned yesterday, their takeaway yesterday, and what their experience was like yesterday? Okay, while at that, I would like everyone, before we begin properly, I would like everyone, if you have not, I would like everyone to go to our social media and subscribe to our channel, because that is where you'll be getting all of our packages. So if you haven't, I am assuming you have, or if you haven't, um, go to our social media on Instagram, Facebook, X, or LinkedIn at Precious Fountain Foundation and subscribe. You can like and follow. You can subscribe to our YouTube channel or follow us on Instagram, X, LinkedIn, and Facebook. Of course, I wanted to say something.
I just indicated that I was present yesterday. It was I didn't want to say anything. I was just raising up my hand to indicate that I was present yesterday.
Okay. Thank you very much for your participation. If not, please follow our social media page. All right. Okay. I think Chidera Andrea wants to tell us something about her experience here. Okay, I'm trying to unmute you.
Hi everyone, good evening. Hello, if you can hear me, indicate. Thank you. All right. Can you all hear me? Thank you very much. So, while Jenny's network is trying to, she's trying to fix her network. My name is Mustafa Absola Precious, and I will just be here to support Jenny while her network is coming on and off. So, thank you for those beautiful feedbacks from yesterday. It was really an eye-opening session yesterday. I found that weakness is not actually a negative thing or a vice. It's something you need to work on, and sometimes your weakness becomes strength. Strength is what you already like something you are very, very good at, that you do best than anybody. And another part that also stood out for me is the 360 leader, right? Can somebody remind me the directions she mentioned? Upward, downward, which one again? Let me have it in the comment section. Upward when you are leading people higher than you, downward when you are leading people lower than you, like not lower per se, like leading people in a lower level, kind of, maybe kind of a teacher to student kind of thank you, self-leadership across. Then you remember leading sideways when you are leading your peers. To be very sincere, that is one very part of leadership that is very, very hard. Yes, inwards, sideways, thank you. Inwards when you're leading yourself, sideways when you're leading your peers. So that can be really, really difficult. So on that note, across collaboration with peers, thank you very much. So on that note, you see that a 360 leader is a leader that have a self-awareness. You know your emotion. She mentioned that yesterday. You know your emotion. You can understand triggers. You know how to attend to matters. You know you know when to wait and let things settle within you before you act. So thank you for those beautiful feedback. Yeah, I can see that a lot of us were paying attention. A lot of us were paying attention. Excuse me. So back to the social media, I'm sure that a lot of us are already engaging with us on our social media. We're going to give you 10 minutes. You can minimize your screen, rush down to all of our yes, thank you. Someone has posted it. 10 minutes, rush down to all of our social media, engage the posts. You will see a lot of posts on ILB. Talk about your experience, a quick comment on how it is going. And yeah, I want to see all of that. You never can tell. There could be a prize. Maybe Santa can come in this month is what? May. Yes. We could have a Santa in May. Who is excited? I want you to acknowledge this. Yes. Our links are here. Yeah. Isom has already. Thank you very much, Isom. So let's go. 10 minutes and we are back here. Like 10 minutes. Just minimize your screen. Rush down to our social media and comment on our posts. And yeah, even after this, if I were you, I would document my journey. Yeah, I would. I would talk about my experience. I would talk about the things I've been learning. So somehow, social media never forgets. You will always have it there. So I think we have 8 minutes to go before Jenny continues. So let's go. We want it to go agog now. Let's go. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Bisola. All right, so I'm back now. Thank you very much for the people who are engaging with our social media. It means a lot to us. So we're going to move on quickly. Yes, yesterday we talked about understanding myself as a what? As a 360-degree leader. So we talked about what leadership meant, how it means in like leadership is not about your age, rank, your title. It's about how you positively influence people around you, right? So we talked about how to lead, leading upwards, across, downwards, leading yourself, understanding yourself, your personality, discovering your strengths and weakness, adapting to change. It was a very wonderful session yesterday by Mrs. Ogena. So today we will be impacted likewise by a very special person. Yes. So today we'll be learning what? We'll be learning how to build meaningful relationships as a what? 360-degree leader. And our speaker is none other than Mr. Levi. So Mr. Jeff has always been a consistent PFF member and speaker. He has been supporting us. He has been there for us when we call. He has always been there for PFF. And he will be speaking to us today on building meaningful relationship as a 360-degree leader. Mr. Jeff is an educator. He's an educator. He's a teacher. He teaches in finance, business management, mathematics, economics. So your coming here doesn't only come with just learning what our speaker have to tell us today. You also have the opportunity to network and meet great minds like Mrs. Sogena and Jeff Levi. Okay. For a short while, a few minutes, our speaker will be coming up to speak with us on relationship. And I hope you have your writing material ready, because it's actually a good point to just sit and learn. So you have to take down notes, things that you're going to reflect on after today, and things that you're going to practice, the habits you're going to start forming from what you have learned today. Am I right? All right, so if you're following, please indicate. And also, if your friends are not here, please tag them to join us. Okay, thank you very much. Thank you very much, Agnes. Okay, I'm sorry, I was unmuted. Yes, so our speaker will be taking the stage now. Mr. Jeff will be speaking to us about what? About building meaningful relationship, and I hope you have your writing materials. Okay. All right. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. All right. So, Mr. Jeff, I will be welcoming our speaker now to the stage to talk to us. All right. Thank you very much.
All right. Can everyone hear me and see me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, great, wonderful. Okay, first, I want to just say thank you for this opportunity, for all the people who have made this week happen. Really, there are a lot of great speakers here. Sounds like yesterday was just a lot of great insights, and I'm lucky to be part of this. So I've been very excited for several months to return and lead this workshop. Thank you, Jenny, Abisola, Chidera, Sop, and just everybody else who has made this happen. And also just really a big thank you to everybody who's here today. Here today to wanting to learn and grow themselves, right? To have more of an influence and more of an impact for the things that you care about, right? Okay, I want to first, I'm going to put into the chat just I'd like a little bit of information for you to know who's from you, just to know who's part of this workshop today. So I'd like well, uh, I asked for name, but I see people have their names on Zoom. But location, your interests, and it can be just general interests or your interests professionally with work, and then your reason for joining today. And then I also included just the link to the presentation that I'm going to be using. So if you could please just enter these into the chat. I'm curious, and I imagine just other people are too, just to know a little bit more about you. And hopefully, during our discussion today, we'll really be able to learn more about each other and connect with each other. And my hope is that these workshops are really the start of new relationships and the start of new ideas that you want to put into use. Okay, so I like this self-discovery, right? Interested to hear from more people just a little bit about yourself. Where you are, what you're interested in, why you decided to take part in this. All right. Well, hopefully as time goes on, we'll get some more nice responses. But what I really hope that you can get out of today is at least one idea that you want to put into action with whatever work that you're doing, whether that's your studies or a job or something else that you're doing in your community, to have an idea from today that you really want to actualize, that you think is important to do in leading others effectively and having the influence and creating the change that you want. All right. So great. see an interest in technical processes and personal leadership. I'm looking to improve my communication. Nice. All right. Leadership, community development. Okay. To have impact. All right. Like that. All right. I'm curious what kind of impact you envision for yourself. All right. Well, I will now tell a little bit about myself and then get into the workshop itself. So, as mentioned, I'm an educator, but I'm also an educator who has worked with a lot of different businesses, in education, not only schools, from tutoring companies to educational travel companies to teacher recruitment to coaching companies. So I've really seen education from, luckily, a lot of different angles. Um, Now I'm working at an international school that really has students from all over the world. We have students from dozens of countries. And I'm now here in Israel. I'm originally from the US, from Washington, D.C. A lot of my teaching has been about finance, personal finance, economics, and business, although I've also taught math and English. And one of my fundamental beliefs about work is that work needs to come from meaningful relationships. I really like, I don't think I'm the one that chose this phrase to be part of today, but I really like the idea of a meaningful relationship, right? Something that really work that has meaning to everybody who's engaged in it, right? They have a true personal reason for wanting to do this work. Okay. All right. So I shared in the chat the presentation for today. I'm also going to screen share. All right. And I see, luckily, many people are already accessing it. And great. I'm continuing to read these responses in the chat. So thank you for sharing your thoughts here. And remember, this is a great opportunity just to, even though it's online, start new relationships with people, right? Whether it's with any of the presenters or with other participants here. Okay. All right. So what I would like to do first with this presentation is really define these terms. Okay. You've already, I think, from yesterday and of course from other experiences, have a lot of knowledge about what these things are. But I want to just get your thoughts, right? Particularly in the business world or the world of work. What for you is a meaningful relationship, or what do meaningful relationships consist of in work? So if people want to either enter their thoughts into the chat, you can also come on the mic and share, whatever you prefer. What does it mean to have a meaningful relationship, or what do meaningful relationships consist of? What are people's thoughts? I'm going to ask really for participation throughout today on most, if not all, of the slides. Okay. The link, sure. Oh. How would you define a meaningful relationship? Okay. So I see it makes you a better person. Okay. So it helps you or other people even realize some kind of growth, either in yourself or for a certain mission that you have. Okay. Okay. It's genuine. Okay. It's real. Okay. And I like this, built on trust, respect, understanding, and mutual support. And you're aligned on a goal, right? You are together to work on something that's shared, that both has importance to you. Okay. All right. Makes you better in all areas. Okay. Has purpose. All right. So you're working toward a greater goal that you both share. There's a certain direction. Adds values to people's lives, and you have to genuinely care. All right. You know when people really care about something, right? Okay. Honest communication, respect, shared experiences and values, right? I like that idea of something that needs to be shared. Okay. All right. Okay. And adding value. Okay. So making some kind of improvement, right? For you, for others, toward a goal that has a broad impact. Okay. Great. Great. I think we covered all of the, a lot of important ideas that I wanted to mention there. So great. Okay. And then what does it mean to be a 360 leader? Let's define that, or say what are parts of being a 360 leader rather than just a leader. How is this approach of a 360 leader different? People are welcome to come onto the mic or just write into the chat. What defines a 360 leader? How is that different from just being a leader? What must you have if you're going to be a 360 leader? What are some of the key ideas there? Anyone want to share their thoughts on what that means? Oh, great. Okay. So your influence is not just limited to those who are below you in the hierarchy, okay, but everybody around, okay? So you show concern, you show empathy, and you have a plan for everybody, not just those you're directly responsible for, okay? All right. Yes, I like this point. It means different things to different people, right? Part of the reason I'm starting with this question. Okay. All right. So we don't make assumptions. We actually have a discussion about what is our shared goal. and being well-rounded, so having kind of different skills and different even mindsets that will help you accomplish the goals that you want. Okay. You leave with positivity or optimism. Okay. All right. All directions. I know that's something that was talked about, I think, very well yesterday, and something that I'll go into what it means to lead in different directions. But I think that's a very important idea here. Okay. All right. I'll add also just the awareness, right? Awareness of yourself, others, and the broader goal. Okay. And knowing that you don't have all of the knowledge and you don't have all of the answers, right? So it's important how you get the information, the questions that you ask. Okay. That assumptions aren't made, but the conversations are had. So there is real alignment and you get the, of course, information you need to make the decisions for the best of the group. Okay. All right. See a lot of other good thoughts in the chat. I'm going to go on for now. All right. Okay, so briefly, what we're going to be covering today, and my guess is that we're not going to get through all of this today, but I encourage you to look through the rest of it. These are even activities that you can use with others, okay? And always you can reach out to me, any questions or just thoughts that you want to share. Or I imagine the other presenters too would love to continue the discussion about these ideas. Okay. So first, what is the mindset that we need to really be a 360 leader? We've already touched on that a bit. Okay. Building trust as that main thing that you really need, kind of the base in order to make things happen, to have the influence that you want and accomplish those shared goals. The communication and active listening skills, right? This idea of first understanding and then seek to be understood. All right. How we make sure that we are on the same page, that we're communicating so that people are motivated, right, and understand the work to be done and know the path that they can take to achieve it, right? Working effectively with different people, okay? Having a good understanding of people, the person who we're working with on an individual level, their wants, their needs, their goals, and how the work fits in their life. Okay. Managing conflict with respect, right? Conflict can either be something that sets back a relationship, or it can be something where it actually builds a relationship. We learn from it. We become closer and better able to work together. And then what it means to build your leadership network, okay? Both for those that you want to influence and those whose influence you want to learn from and grow from, okay? Questions or comments just before we get started here, now that we have our overview? Hopefully these are things that are really going to be helpful in what we need to think about the relationships that we have in the work we do and how we can grow them, right? Okay. So, yes, we'll go on here. Okay. So first, I'm going to define what I believe here is the central problem and then give, I think, what is a a solution or a path forward, just to shape our conversation today. All right. So first, many emerging leaders, or really just leaders in general, have a hard time building trust, communicating clearly, and navigating differences, right? So building trust, really having a relationship where you know it's reliable, or you're confident that it's reliable what the other person is saying, and they are confident in what you're saying, right? That there is that consistency. Your words match your actions, okay? Communicating clearly, right? Clear communication is, did the other person understand your message, your point? Was it presented in a way that's digestible for them, right? And navigating differences, right? That you're aware of how different people approach different problems, what matters to them, and that ability to navigate conflict, okay? So these things, when we don't have them, they make it harder for us to collaborate effectively, to handle conflict effectively, and to lead without any kind of formal authority in place, right? Sometimes we have a structure that just tells people what to do, right? And they need to follow because that's what they're told to do, right? But we want to get past that idea of leadership and go into one where people are motivated to do the work that they want to do, and that they don't need to be nudged every time to take action, but they feel empowered to take the action they want to problem solve and to push things forward. Okay? All right. So, the solution, what I am aiming to offer everybody with this session, okay? I want you to build tools, okay, to have these skills and abilities so that you can build trust with anyone, so that you can communicate clearly with anyone. You can work across differences, okay? You can realize them and then have a plan for going forward together, okay? That the differences become strengths, not things that hold you back, and to be able to handle conflict, right? So that you have this ability to lead with confidence and strengthen relationships, okay? In any direction, right? We talked about those different directions earlier of within yourself, somebody who is up here, somebody who's above you in the hierarchy, and somebody who is below you in the hierarchy, okay? And I want to also just emphasize that lead with confidence, right? That essential ingredient if you want to have influence, if you are going to get people to take action around that shared goal. Okay? All right. So, first, what it means to be a 360 leader. Okay? So I realized today that, well, we already had some great ideas from the previous presenter. Wonderful. All right, so this will be a review, but hopefully some good reinforcement. Okay. Leadership isn't just about leading down, it's about leading across, up, and within. Right? Okay, so those 4 directions. Okay. So I'm going to ask some questions just to get you thinking, and please feel free to share your thoughts in the chat. I think that we all lead, influence, and collaborate every day with other people. Okay. Who is it that you lead, influence, or collaborate with every day? So to think about what kind of relationships matter to you. I think of this as something that's at work, or even within just a community in general, a family, right? That these are things that happen, right? Leading, influencing, and collaborating. So who's the first person who comes to mind? Just a short description of them for you, for who you lead, influence, and collaborate with every day. If people want to enter their thoughts into the chat. All right, I like that focus on leading yourself, right? I think we all can lead ourselves, but sometimes we let circumstances lead us, or we let others lead us, when really there are times we need to be the decision maker, okay? And collaborating with colleagues. This is to get us thinking about some of these important relationships that we'll be thinking and sharing more about soon. Okay, nice. So there's sharing that goes on every day with the intention of helping others, benefiting others. Okay. All right. So next, think about, where do your relationships feel strong? Okay. And where do they feel stretched? Okay. So strong, both people have the things that they need to do work around that shared goal, right? There's that trust, that feeling that you can really have the growth that you want, right? But where do they feel stretched? Okay. Stretched meaning you really don't have all of the things you need to make what you want happen. Okay. Maybe asking that person to do something that you believe will benefit them just doesn't feel quite right. Or people don't have the ability to really communicate effectively. And so it strains that relationship and prevents you from reaching the goals that you want. So where do your relationships feel strong and where do they feel stretched? That's great. Strong with siblings. Siblings obviously are people who we share a lot with, right? A lot of common life experiences. Okay. And then stretched with colleagues. Yeah. Often with the people we work with, you know, just those difficulties. Okay. All right. Nice. So I like that belief in our ability to really have the influence that we want. Okay. All right. So to get us thinking more, this case study, all right, we have two leaders with similar roles, one building trust across teams, the other focusing only on their deliverables. Okay. Only those things that they need to get done for tasks. Okay. So kind of these almost two opposite approaches. Okay. Very different focuses, right? Um, so, what differences would you expect in team performance, trust, and outcomes? It's a very simple scenario, right? But just from these two approaches, what differences would you expect in team performance, trust, and outcomes? What do you think? So give some time to think, enter some thoughts into the chat. Okay, so mobilizer, this idea of getting people to take action around a shared goal. All right. Yes, when we're building trust, people will know that the work hopefully is manageable, right? And that there are people there to support them. Okay. People see their tasks as something that they can accomplish, and the people who surround them, people who can support them, right? All right. So next, what do you believe strong leadership relationships look like in your experience? Okay. What do they look like, both from the person who has taken more initiative, the leader, right? And the other person who's part of it. What does it look like? What do people think? What do people do? All right, I like this. Different levels in cooperation, compliance, and eagerness. Okay. If people see the bigger picture and they've bought into the bigger picture, right? A lot of that is really informing and making sure that somebody's on board with the vision. Okay. A lot of times we don't take the time to really explain and make sure that this is something where there is buy-in. Okay. All right. So people feel that they can express themselves. All right. People are free to talk about what they believe. Transparency, unity, and good orientation. Okay. Nice. Nice. All right. So, yes, definitely there's clarity, right? You're getting the information that you need, you're getting the whole picture. Okay. People have this shared idea about what they want to do and the why they want to do it. Okay. And you have this belief that things can be changed, that things can grow, that things can be different. Okay. A certain optimism in your approach. Okay. All right. So then the behaviors that build trust versus break it. Okay. So what do you think you can do that things are built, right? That you are trust building or that you are trust breaking, right? There's that idea that it takes a lot of time and effort to really build trust, but one action or one decision, one behavior can break that trust in an instant. Okay, so what are those things that build trust, and what are those things that break trust? Already some good ideas in this area. Right? So I like that arrogance and pride can really get in the way of having a trusting relationship. Okay, that ability to admit when we're wrong, that ability to say, well, maybe we aren't the best, or we didn't do our best, or we didn't do the right thing, right? Okay, so creating that environment where people are comfortable speaking, right? They know that they're going to be listened to and people are going to seek to understand them. They know that people are on their side, not somebody who's against them, right? That there's communication, not because people just want to speak about their thoughts, but people want to have an exchange of ideas. right? Okay. All right. Great. So we'll go on. Okay. So yes, this idea again that a 360 leader is building our capacity in each direction, right? The people above you in the hierarchy, okay? And my belief is there's always somebody who you're answering to, okay? When you make a decision or take an action, right? People below you in the hierarchy, people, yourself, okay? And then people who are across from you, your peers, right? And building capacity means that you're building, you're helping that person build the things that they need, the skills that they need to do the work that they need to do, okay? So that's really taking on responsibility for yourself and responsibility for everybody who you're communicating with, thinking, how do you build them? Okay. All right. So I think there's this important shift we have from how do I get results to how do I build relationships that create results. Okay. It's simple and I think a bit limited to just only be thinking about the results. Okay. To only be thinking about what is the end, right? Not what kind of journey do we need to take and how do we do that together in an aligned way toward the goal we want. Okay. And that's going to involve other people, right? um, we don't really ever work alone in my mind. At some point, it's going to involve other people, right? Even if it's just in communicating our ideas. Okay. So, that central question, how do I build relationships that create results, right? And thinking about that end goal not as just being the results, okay, but also being the enriched relationship, okay, the enriched person. The person has gained from you, and so they're able to do that work better, okay? All right, so here are some of the things that I view as core pillars of this idea of 360 leadership, okay? Trust, as we already talked about, okay? And trust is about really do your um, do your actions match your intentions? Did you do what you say you're going to do? Did you do it fully? Did you do it to the best of your ability? Did you do it keeping in mind the impact it has with others, right? So trust is you keep showing up, right? You keep doing your work. You stick to your commitment, even through whatever challenges, right? Um, from outside or within, right? That you're reliable, okay, along with that idea of consistency and that you're transparent, right, as has already been mentioned, right? You give people the information that they need. You're not hiding things, okay? Um, all right, that next core pillar of collaboration, okay? And collaboration is built, I believe, on two things, right? First, active listening, okay? This is listening in a way that you do what you need to get a full understanding, okay? So that the person feels heard throughout the interaction, understood throughout the interaction, that you're asking questions, that you're restating their main points, that you show that you're involved in an ongoing way, right? In working together. And then shared ownership, right? Everybody to some extent thinks this is mine, right? I have a key role in this. And so I'm going to do my best for this, right? There's a sense of we're all in this together and this is all an important part of what we want to do. Okay. Next, influence. Okay. You don't lead because you're higher up than somebody, but you lead because you want them to take a certain action that's personally meaningful to them, right? You inspire growth, you inspire action, and you help somebody see that larger goal and their path to get there. Okay. And then growth. Okay. I like this idea that, well, everything is really either growing or dying. Okay. It goes in either direction, right? And sometimes that's impacted by external factors, but sometimes we do have control over that, right? So it's identifying both those things that you're good at or that others are good at, and you see room for improvement, and those things that are weaknesses, and viewing both these weaknesses as strengths really as opportunities. Okay. That they can be changed and they can be changed in a good direction. Okay. So, with this in mind, this mindset of building relationships that create results and these core pillars, okay, think about a relationship. Well, it can be at work, doesn't have to, but some kind of relationship where you're working together. Okay. What's a small action you can take this week to build more trust? All right. A small action you can take this week to build more trust. So if people can share their thoughts in the chat. Small action you can take to build more trust. Heard a lot of good insights so far. I'm interested to hear what people will say for this. Okay. Okay. So sharing a relevant experience, right? And sharing that as a lesson. Okay. How you handled the situation, either the things you did that were effective, the things that you would change, and then thinking what can be applied in this situation. Okay. What's relevant really for that person. Another small action that you would take to build greater trust? Someone else, please. If you want to share your thoughts. Okay. So empathy. Okay. Not giving people opinions when it's unwanted. All right. Looking for that right place and time to really share your feedback, not just pouring it on people because it's what's in your mind. Okay. I like this very important idea of timing, right? And I would add also the right place. Okay. And even the right medium, right? Having that conversation in person versus having it over the phone. Okay. Okay. So taking action when you see that there's a problem that needs to be fixed. Okay. Bringing it to a conclusion where people are satisfied. Great. Great. Yes, the simple act of just greeting somebody, right? Acknowledging somebody's presence and showing that you're present there with them. Okay. Accountability and support. All right. Showing that you're genuinely happy to be there, right? Showing your feelings about being engaged in communication with somebody in the work that you're doing. All right. Great. Okay. Nice. A lot of great thoughts here. Okay. And then think, and we've already touched on this quite a bit, but what stronger collaboration would look like in that relationship. Okay. In that relationship where you want to build more trust, what then would the stronger collaboration look like? I like this idea of just acknowledging what you have in common. All right. And people know that you're not there to criticize. Okay. You're there to build them up. Okay. Okay. So, yeah, stronger collaboration, teamwork. Maybe we can build on that a little bit. Okay. Showing that you trust them by giving them important responsibilities and giving them the support that they need to really see those through. Okay. That's an important one. Okay. All right. So, yeah, making it so that you know you're aligned, okay? And you know that problems can be addressed together, that you're there to support the other person, okay? And you really have a belief in them to do the work, to grow, to be a important part of the work, right? Okay. All right. Let's move on, all right? So next, this idea of trust as your leadership currency, okay? Building on that last idea, all right? My belief really is that trust is the foundation of every strong leadership relationship, really any kind of relationship, all right? We need it first as a foundation if we are going to have a good relationship and work effectively with each other, all right? Okay. Everything else is really built on this fundamental trust that people have. Okay. So, to first get us thinking, who do you trust most at work and why? And you can think about work that you're doing now or work that you've done, work in a job or work outside of a job. Okay. Who do you trust the most and why? Why do you think it is that you trust that person so much? If people want to just share their thoughts in the chat, somebody you trust the most at work and why. I'm asking for lots of participation, yes, really throughout the structure to get us thinking and talking, and then I deliver some of the key points, I believe. Okay, so being reliable, okay, doing the things that we need to do with consistency, okay, always doing our best. Okay, very straightforward. So communication that we really respect and that makes things easy for us, gives us the ability to do our job effectively. Okay. Okay. We know that somebody can do a good job without us. All right. Okay. Also, the intention behind, it's a very good point, the intention behind what people are doing, right? If they're really doing it for the greater good or for the team, or they really just act for selfless reasons. They want credit, they want rewards. Okay. Okay, nice. All right. And then think again about this other person. What behaviors, already something a lot of people have covered, but what behaviors increase your trust in others? Okay, honesty. Yeah. People are really being genuine. People are really saying what they know or they believe to be the truth, right? All right. Okay. So to look now at a case study, okay? You have a leader who's delivering good results, but they're inconsistent with their communication and with their follow through, okay? So think about how this inconsistency with communication and follow through impacts team morale, performance, and willingness to collaborate. So, what are some of the possible effects of this leader who is inconsistent with communication and follow through? What do we think? This communication and follow through. How is this impacting team morale, performance, and willingness to collaborate? Okay. All right. So people may not show up at all, may not show up as their best selves. Okay. People may act without the team or the greater goal in mind. Okay. There's not that accountability that we need. Okay. We might not get done the things that we need to get done. Okay. People are more anxious. That's a great one. Okay. Okay, good. So the things don't get done that we need to get done. Okay. Yes. All right. Um, so now to think, what builds trust quickly in a team and what breaks trust quickly? What builds trust and what breaks trust quickly for a team? We'll get a few answers on this and then move on. Okay, a lack of transparency, right? People are not giving the full picture. They're not giving the information that people need, okay? You can tell people are hiding something, okay? So communication, honesty, build trust, dishonesty, and pride break trust, all right? I like, again, how pride can really get in the way, right? We need that confidence, right? To know that we can accomplish the goal and in how we communicate, okay? But then it can cross into something where it's too much, okay? That We don't see the whole picture. We don't take into account what people need. Okay? We're not able to admit that something was done wrong or that we did something wrong. Okay? All right. Great. Okay, let's move on. All right. So, one of the fundamental ideas I believe about trust is that it's not given. Okay? We don't owe people our trust just because they're somebody who is above us in a work hierarchy, just because they have or were given some type of title or we're supposed to have some kind of relationship, right? Trust is built through those consistent words and actions, okay? And it's built in every direction, right? It first starts with thinking about who we need to be as a person, and then doing that with consistency. And then when things aren't done right, that we have a discussion about it, okay? Because everybody at some point does not meet the mark, does not do as well as they hope or expect, right? And so, yes, that's built in every direction through ourselves, through our peers, those above us, and those below us in the hierarchy. Okay. So, the trust equation. Okay. So, this is what I think we really need. A lot of things that have already been covered. Okay. But these are the things that we need to act with in order to be building trust and to do them all the time, okay, with consistency, and to realize and admit when we have made missteps or not reached the mark, okay? So, reliability, okay? You show up when you want, when you say you're going to you show up fully as your best self. Your words match your actions, right? Transparency, right? That you really acknowledge the truth and communicate that truth, and you communicate in a way that people can really understand your message. Okay. Empathy, that you take into account people's perspectives. You're always trying to understand before being understood. Okay. That you ask questions and you give your full attention all the time to people. All right. And then consistency. People know what to expect. It's not a bunch of, random reactions. Okay. People know who you are. And because of that, know how you're going to behave, how you're going to decide with some level of predictability, right? If something just seems so far out of the picture when we're looking at somebody and like raises eyebrows, why would a person do that, right? That's not who they are. That will break trust. Okay. All right. So first, think of a relationship that you want to strengthen. Okay. With me, I can think of a student now who has started participating a lot more. And I think things are going in a good direction. And I see lots of opportunities to continue to strengthen that. Okay. So, what's one trust building behavior you can practice? And what would increase trust look like in that relationship? Okay, so a trust building behavior either from above or just that has been talked about or you have in mind. Okay, and then how would that be applied to that relationship? I'm interested to hear people's thoughts on this. If you want to come on the mic, if you'd like to enter into the chat your thoughts. Okay. So practicing active transparency. I like that phrase, active transparency. Okay. Showing people all of the things that they need to know. Okay. Sharing the why behind your decisions. I like just simply adding because, right? And then giving an explanation. That can be very trust building for sure. Okay. Helps people understand where you're coming from, right? Okay. So once a decision is made, get people aligned, get people going forward on it, right? We have a path, we understand the path, and we're motivated to do that work, okay? And then offering proactive, aligned support, okay? So people can speak up when there's a problem that needs to be fixed and offer solutions for that, right? And there's really something that people have that's shared, okay? All right, so yes, the reliability. So how does that reliability look in that relationship that you're seeking to strengthen? Right. Other thoughts? All right. I see the time and see that we're going to be wrapping up in around 25 minutes. Okay. I realize I only covered 2 of the sections. All right. But I am going to go to the end so that we do have just a lot of time for questions. And first, I'll just review what I intended to cover here. Okay. With the 360 leadership mindset, trust as a leadership currency, the communication and active listening skills would be next, working effectively with different people, managing conflict with respect, and building your leadership network. Okay. So I encourage you just to think through some of the questions and some of the concepts that are here and think about what's something that you can apply tomorrow, okay, to build a more meaningful relationship as a leader, okay, and as a leader with somebody in any direction, okay. But I'm going to now go to here, okay. So first, to think about what's a key insight you're taking from today, and a commitment that you'll act on immediately. So an insight and a commitment. You can either think to yourself or enter something into the chat. But I'll give around a minute just to think through an insight and a commitment. All right, we'll go on. Okay. So, what I hope from today is that you take an idea and you're putting it into action, right? The success of today is about what you have taken from today and what you do with it. All right. So, first, 3 things, okay, to think about with this. All right. Who is somebody who you intentionally want to invest in, right? Who you want to give your valuable time, listening, ideas to when needed, okay? Who's somebody who either because you think you have the ability to really strengthen this relationship, and then it will help some kind of shared goal, or you see it as weak, but you see just a way forward to improve it, or something where you need to think more about it. What is your plan for action? Okay. Next, to think of a skill that you want to actively practice, okay, in order to build better relationships. All right. Is it trust? Is it listening? Is it adapting? Is it conflict management? Or is it something else? Right. To think about something that you're doing well, but you see that capacity to grow, or that's just an area of growth for you that you're not where you are. Okay. So, what will you do to be a better listener? What will you do to better manage conflict? Okay. And then next, a specific behavior. Okay. So, thinking even in a more focused way. Okay. A specific behavior that you will implement. Okay. Thinking about really something specific that you're going to put into action, and that you're then going to evaluate, reflect on, see if you did that well. Okay. What you would want to continue and what you would want to change. All right. So with that, I'm going to go into questions. And just again, thank you both for today and for the work that you're choosing to do through your leadership. All right. Thank you. I welcome questions. Interested to hear any questions people have, either about what was talked about today or just something more general about the topic. Okay, yes. So the question, how would the effectiveness of a 360-degree leader change when working with people who think, communicate, or disagree very differently? And what does that reveal about true influence? Okay. So this is something that I was planning to cover and didn't get into, which is very important with this topic. Okay. So first, I think, is understanding yourself. Okay. How, in relation to the work that you're doing, you think, you communicate, and you disagree with people. Okay. Thinking about how you actually do things, right? Having just an accurate view of that, right? And sometimes that involves some reflection. Sometimes that involves talking with somebody who really knows you and understands you, okay? But deciding what really is the truth here about how you think, communicate, and disagree, okay? Then just forming your thoughts on what you believe the person is doing or has done, right? And first, again, as I've said a few times today, coming from a place of understanding, all right? Asking questions to get a full picture. All right. Then I think there's two different directions you can go in with this, all right? Either you look for areas where there is some overlap, okay, and you seek to build on that. Or you connect back to your overall mission and your overall goal, okay, and you look for value in the different perspectives. You find ways that you can better communicate, right? You find ways that disagreement, right, can be a very healthy thing, okay? But you find ways to really understand and incorporate valuable perspectives, right? So it needs to come from a conversation you as the leader really need to initiate that comes from a place of seeking to understand, right? And then when the time is right, proposing a way forward, either based on that shared goal or those areas where, okay, this is a similar way that we're thinking about the problem. Let's build on that. Okay. And I think your ability to have that conversation effectively and get people thinking toward the future rather than the things that didn't go right, that shows that you can have influence, right? If you realize the areas that you want to change and you've helped somebody to realize things that they can change and that they want to change. Okay? All right. Feel free to ask follow-up questions for any explanation that I give. Okay. All right. Yes, for those who say thank you, you're very welcome. It's great to be leading this conversation and build some understanding of what I think are very important ideas when it comes to building meaningful work relationships. Okay, so how can I change my colleague if he or she is stubborn at work all the time? Okay, so first, I would say don't seek to change people. Okay, so what do I mean by that? Okay, you can seek to help people realize different ways that they can act, different decisions they can make, but don't try to change fundamentally who they are. Okay. Some people just naturally tend to be more stubborn, and stubborn is definitely this idea that has a negative connotation, right? But think about that on the positive side. Okay. Stubborn can be, well, if somebody has something, you're aligned something that's really important and that the person cares about, they can really be working hard toward it, right? They can stubbornly pursue a certain shared goal. Okay. So definitely that energy can be focused in a way that actually becomes a strength to the project. Okay. And this idea of all the time, well, maybe it's all the time of what you've seen. But remember, people have the capacity to act differently in different situations. So think about how you change the environment, how you change the thinking around the problems. Okay. How you get people thinking about different paths forward and the way of choosing the best one together. Okay. So we can't change really fundamentally maybe somebody's personality or who they are. Okay. But we can change we can help them understand different ways of looking at something. And that we have a lot of different paths forward and we can decide on that path forward together. Okay. All right, the next question, how to become an active leader instead of proactive, and how can you solve the problem of inconsistent communication? Okay. First, I'll focus on that problem of inconsistent communication. All right. I think the issue with this is not having alignment and not having shared expectations, and then also the follow through once you do. Okay. So, first, it's to have that conversation. What are people's needs in terms of communication? What's going to be our plan for what's going to be our commitment? Okay. What's going to be our plan to get there? And then what's going to be the accountability? Okay. So we are going to say check in every morning, right? And if this person doesn't initiate the communication, the other person can reach out. What are we going to do to make sure that this happens? Okay, to think about maybe why it wasn't happening, but then align on a plan going forward and a way to check and make sure you are meeting those expectations, that plan that you've made. Okay. All right. And then how you can become an active leader instead of proactive. Okay. So I think that this starts with what is your overall goal? What is your purpose? Okay. First, understand that and understand your why. Why are you working toward this goal? Why is it personally meaningful to you? Okay. Then, once you've kind of done that internal work, then you need to communicate it, right? You need to communicate so it's clear and easier to understand and with a certain amount of consistency, right? To continually be reinforcing this key message. Okay. Um, so it's really having a clear understanding of what the message is that you want to share and how you are going to share it in a way that other people can digest it and be aligned with it. Okay.
All right. Thank you very much, Mr. Jeff, for your wonderful presentation. And thank you so much for carrying us along with every step. I think it was one of the things we were listing as attributes of a 360-degree leader. So I think everybody can vouch for that. You carried us along. So thank you very much. I think we are able to understand that trust is the basic foundation of a meaningful relationship with people. It was hammered on very well, and it was put in deep the importance of trust. So we want to very much. Please let us appreciate our speaker. So we don't waste much time. If you have any other question, you can put it in the chat, or you can contact our speaker in person. I think he put his link there for us. Yes. Thank you so much, sir. I'm going to rush through a series of things that we should know. Yes. So we don't have much time, so I'm going to rush through a series of things. We have other programs, including the International Leadership Bootcamp, which is what we are doing here already. So we also have other projects like the monthly webinar that is coming up on the 22nd of this month. The link will be sent in the chat. We also have the EWLF, the African Women Leadership Forum and Fellowship that is going on. It's exclusive for 42 people only, but the snippets will be shared on YouTube. So wait along for that. The PR department of Precious Fountain Foundation is calling out for volunteers, people who can do graphic designing, storytelling, video editing, what else? Copywriting. Yes. So if you can do any of these things, there is a link in the chat. So if you want to volunteer with us, you can volunteer within the PR department. Also, yes, we have a little challenge for it is called what? Okay. So I saw when we were doing that on WhatsApp, you can also do that on your social media. You can do it on your Instagram, your Facebook. You can tag your friend, and remember to tag PFF. And also, you can share your experiences. You can share your experiences on Instagram, on LinkedIn, whatever social media you are using, and tag PFF. So we'll be acknowledging our most committed participants. So be sure to do that. Okay. Is there anything else? I don't think so. Right. So be sure to go through what you've learned today. We have learned so many things on trust and behaviors that increase helps with meaningful relationships. So start today to make the change, build the habits. All right. I don't think we have anything else left here. You have your questions. Jeff is available for everybody else. Oh, yes. Remember to sign your attendance, please. Sign the attendance, very important to us and to you because it will affect the certifications. And also remember to click on the onboarding link and fill the form. That too is also important. All right. Chidera, do you have anything to say?